And good afternoon. I will try to stay focused and not pay attention to the Rams Saints game. To be honest, I hope the Rams win. If the Saints win, I'm okay with that. Game number 2, though, I'm definitely going for the Patriots. So I think this is I was thinking of doing a review on the Cold Steel SR1, but I'm thinking I'm going to make this a versus video. And I think that's kind of out of order. I probably should just do a review on this, but I think I can do both 2 reviews in one. Kind of some perhaps uninteresting life experience with both knives, mixed in with a little bit of stats, mixed in with a little bit of things that I think make these great for what they're intended for. And then perhaps at the end, I will let you know, if you can't pick up on it, which one I would go with. Because honestly, that's going to be a tough one in this case. Just get it out there. I am usually going to err on the side of Benchmade for most things, though I can be swayed here. I am swayed here and there, but I'd say overall, I'm definitely on the Benchmade side of everything. But let's go ahead and just jump into this before I make absolutely no sense. So I wrote some stats down. And I've noticed little idiosyncrasies when I do look up stats. Or numbers, basically. Things that I don't quite agree with. But maybe if I think of them as they come up, I will bring it up from what I've come across. I guess I should just go to. I was lazy and I went to a dealer, a knife dealer. I should just go to the independent company websites for whatever company I'm doing and get the numbers off of that, and that way, it is what it is. So start with the SR1. So let's just start from the top. So it's got an open length overall of 9.4 inches. And I did round that up, I think, from 9.375. So don't pull out your calculator. Blade length of 4.0, according to them, or according to this website. Which I think is right, because I did kind of eyeball them both together, and it looked like it was probably almost a 1/4 inch difference, perhaps 0.2 of an inch between the two. Blade thickness is 1700ths. And this is still in the SR1 here. Handle length is 5.4, and again I rounded that up. Handle thickness is 0.6, and I think I rounded that down from 0.63. Weight is 7.3 ounces, and it goes for online roughly $143. And I kind of justify why that's such a darn good deal here in a bit. Okay, so for the Adamas, the Benchmade, I've got an overall length of 8.7 inches. So that is 0.7 of an inch shorter overall to the SR1. I think the SR1 just pretty much has it in the handle length. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Blade length of 3.8. Blade thickness of 0.16. Handle thickness of, handle length, apologies, 4.9 inches. A handle thickness of 0.73. So it's roughly 1/10 of an inch wider than that. Because we'll just say this is 0.63, that's 0.73. And then a weight of 7.7 ounces. So it's actually 0.4 of an ounce heavier than that. And I think it's a lot of it has to do with the scales they have in here. Because, we'll go get to that, but not the scales, liners. This is fully lined. Okay. So I think, let's go ahead and start here. I think the intention on both of these knives is hard use. And I know that that's a common term. Let's just put these up like this. Let's just start with the Adamas here. Hard use. Okay, so on the Adamas, you have a large stop pin, oversized stop pin. And I hate using the flash. And I got enough daylight out. I figure I'll try to, hopefully this is Everything's kind of focused and everything. So that's Benchmade model 275. If that'll focus, you can see it. And then it's designed by a Jason Siebert, who must be a cool dude because I really like his designs anyway. And it's D2 steel. Okay, so D2 steel S35VN stats. Sorry, this one's got a serrated blade. We'll get to that, but it's full plane. So it's got a full-size, large, adjustable stop pin. And I say adjustable because I think if you flatten one side or something happens to it, you can rotate it. I think that's why it's adjustable. Of course, theoretically, that one is too. You just have to take the knife apart, I think. Oversized pivot. Real nice pivot. And I love Benchmade because they're so easy to break down and clean. At least the action. I mean, I've seen some videos where people say it's a pain in the ass. It's the easiest knife, in my opinion, if you want to take it out and clean the pivot. If you want to really get out and scrape the liners, then in that case, it's no more difficult than any other knife. So if we're going to do a versus here, I'd say breakdown goes to the cleaning and breakdown goes to the axis lock, the Benchmade Adamas here. Real thick blade, obviously. It is not quite as thick as that. So what makes this what's another thing that makes this a hard use knife? Well, it's got a full handle. And I've used this extensively for work style cutting, like on the job, cutting, like smacking into 2x4s to notch them out and stuff like that. I've kind of mentioned previously also a lot of scraping with this knife, just like kind of construction type work. Like if I was a construction guy, I mean a full-time construction, like a home builder, that type, or any other type. I'm just thinking of we were building a big old shop and garage, basically. Like, yeah, we'll just say shop. Sweet, it's snowing, it's dumping out. Tomorrow's gonna be awesome. And they're not blacking it out either. Get it? Tomorrow I'm talking Monday. Sorry, I'm getting a little rambly here, getting a little excited. I went ahead and pretty much did stuff at home today because I figured it's going to be busy. It's a busy weekend out there in the bushes. So anyway, so hard use. Sorry. Thick handle, right? Full size. So basically, like I use this construction style, and I have used this backpacking too. I have taken this knife backpacking, and I have used it for building shelters. And when I say shelters, I don't mean survival shelters. I mean just for fun. Putting some sticks together basically to use with a tarp, like a lean-to pup tent type style. So nothing that I'm trying to survive on. But it worked. The knife works great. In hindsight, I wouldn't have gone for the serrated. I think I'm growing out of that part of my life because this is the only knife that I need serrated. These guys, and that's specific for work. I always have that, and then it's not a necessarily a knife for fooling around. It's a knife for work. Like, you got to cut something real quick, like rope, whatnot. So full size handle, real comfortable. I mean, really comfortable. No hot spots. They give you a little bit of traction. None of it's sharp. Really cool backspacer G10 they got here. High traction, but not obtrusive, not aggressive enough to rub you raw. Kind of put in key places, in my opinion. And if I compare this to Contigo, I just did not like the Contigo because I felt like the whole thing was just sharp, and it kind of makes you like gun shy to even put your hand in your pocket. And it's not like I have soft hands either. I mean, I'm not saying I got drywall, concrete, construction worker hands, but they're not sensitive by any means. Let's see here. Yeah, and then basically the blade stock thickness once again, and then the nice thick tip. And I'm sorry that that's not going to focus for. But yeah, it is a nice overbuilt tip. I mean, if you had to like hollow out a log or something, or some kind of survival situation. And I got a point on that I'll make too, which I think things are kind of stated about survival situations. But yeah, so that's kind of a quick rundown on that. This does naturally come with a deep carry pocket clip Benchmades. I just don't like those. I think you get a little side to side flex in them, and yeah, I have one on my I have the same clip on my Presidio too, and I've left it, so maybe I'm starting to warm up to that. I'm not sure, but I went ahead and just drilled out the clip, those two outer holes on a three hole clip, and then your screws can fit through, and voila, it is a proper grip on it. But you know, this actually could be a knife that you just take that clip off and just put it in the sheath. It's nice to have, though, I guess, if you can kind of get away with both. I do pocket carry that, but I also put it in a sheath. Boom. So the SR1, big overbuilt. Oh, and then one more thing on this. It does have full liners that are obviously routed out. You can look through there, but they are full and they are thick. Very rigid knife, no flex whatsoever. And of course, out of box. And I've had this for about 3 years and I've used it. And I have put oil on it, but not for a long time because it really doesn't even need it. And I find that oil just generally attracts dirt. So, or, you know, whatever. So I try to really not, on the knives I can get away with, not to put any oil in there. Like maybe if I'm going to store it for a while, I might. But, you know, no problem. So real nice, free dropper. I mean, the perfect Benchmade action you're going to get. You don't get it on all Benchmade axes. Actually, all the ones I have do that, except for my Presidio 1. It's kind of got some mental health issues. Okay, so full liners. Over here to this bad boy. Yeah, SR1. Love that blade shape. Okay, so you kind of got a clip drop here and kind of a clip drop here, though I'd consider this I would really like to call that a clip, kind of a buoy. Really smooth, like the smoothest cold steel knife that I have. I mean, like, I'm talking like as smooth as I think you can get a Backlock to be, I would think. I've never, the line steel has, I think it's the TM11, always catches my eye. It's a Backlock. And it's probably, I would imagine it's smooth. I think it's even on bearings, but as far as like that was basically, this is putting like 1 pound per square inch of pressure on that or something. I'm just kidding. I have no idea. But I mean, it's super free, super smooth. Love this knife. Then you got that 4-inch blade, really thick stock, and then actually even a thicker tip than the Adamas. Though I don't really know how much this whole thickness, I'm not sure how much more that's going to buy over that, because this is very, very strong. But this, I guess, would just buy you that much more strength in the tip. And that'll get into something else I'm going to say about both of these knives as far as survival situations go, like real survival. So one aesthetic thing I would hit this knife on. Actually, I'm not going to hit this knife on any aesthetic thing. Some people don't like the prints or the etching or whatever on cold steel blades, and I'm just the same. I don't necessarily like them myself. However, that I'd have no problem with that whatsoever. And then I never have a problem with that. That looks pretty professional. Usually, like just an example, and this is like one of the better ones, but that does look cheesy to me. You know, the name Recon 1 probably wouldn't, but then they have to throw in the crosshairs. It kind of, and I love this knife, and I like cold steel, but that just kind of says cheap to me, though I know the knife is not. But getting back to this, so it doesn't have full liners. It actually comes back to here, and if you can see on the inside, probably not, but it's just smooth G10. And you got the Backlock here with the spring, but the stop pin and the lock bar and everything is lined with stainless steel liners. Pretty good thickness, though it doesn't need it because those are huge. I think it's just the hole that probably the stop pin and the internal stop pin. And I'm not really sure if the pivot, let me eyeball this. So the pivot is not lined, I don't think, but don't quote me on that because I would sure hate. I've never taken this. This one I've never taken apart, but we can get into taking it apart too. So very strong. Difference. These ones are obviously very strong. All cold steel knives are, but there are absolutely no liners in these. It's just straight up blade, lock bar, and stop pin. G10 basically is all it is, and then hardware. And these things are plenty strong enough. And I would not consider this an overbuilt knife by any means. I would just say built well built, strong, just like this. I wouldn't consider this an overbuilt knife either. I think for what you should use a knife for, or a folding knife, I think these are both very strong. You know, like you'd have to really do something really, really wrong to get these things to fail, either one of those. Whereas these come in, it's just going to take you that much further. Okay. A couple features both of these knives have as far as like hard use or survival situations would go, I would think, though I've done neither with these because they are both almost $200 knives. And if you had a fixed blade with you, it would be the better option for this. But if you had this, and this is all you have when you're out in the woods and you are in a survival situation, or you are just testing yourself against Ma nature, which I totally get, and you wanted to hunt with a spear or protect yourself even from somebody or something, like it's dark out or something, and the only threat that I would see at night are cougars. And I don't mean the female variety, human female variety. I mean like the mountain lion, as some people say. I've always preferred the word cougar. What you can do is you can build yourself a spear and then lash this knife to that spear via either these holes, tie them off with paracord or however you want to do it, or you are able to tie this on just running cord around this, and then your spear handle both ways, either through there to it or all the way around it. And this kind of lends itself, I would think, the palm swell and these ends would lend itself to holding strong for you. Personally, probably I would want to use the holes because then you even have that nice oversized lanyard hole as well. You would kind of have like 4 points of contact, and heck, you could even go around, you can go through these grooves too. And I mean, you can do a full wrap. So that you'd be pretty bomb proof in the end. And then with this guy, one thing I've noticed as well is you can do the same thing. There's no holes to run it through, but the finger grooves here make 2 great points. I would think, theoretically, on paper, would lend itself to tying off to your spear handle as well. The head, basically. So you got a spear point for both. Now, if you're in a survival situation, and if you only had that, or you only had that, you do not want to break your knife. Okay, so you probably shouldn't be doing anything that is going to cause whatever knife you have to fail. And then tying this onto a spear and throwing it would definitely be a hazard because you could hit a rock, and regardless of how thick and overbuilt these blades are, odds are pretty good you're going to break it. However, if it's just using it as a hand weapon to fend off something, like a defensive situation, I think they would work great for that. Obviously, I mean any knife probably would, or most knives would. You certainly are not going to get the locks to fail, I wouldn't think. All right, so we've gone through that a little bit. Now we can talk about kind of little preferences that both models provide. Actually, we can do some perhaps viable options. Let's do that. So here's 2 more quickies. You got the Spyderco Military. It's about dimensionally the same lengthwise as both of these, give or take. And then, of course, the Cold Steel Recon. Same thing. Going to be better cutters, though I have done some pretty decent amount of wood whittling with this, and it does cut well. However, because of the serrations, I only use out here, but it'll whittle. It'll cut wood great. And then this one actually does as well, too. And I've used this to build a shelter. Actually, 2 shelters I've used, and I'm pretty much talking small trees and willows that I've used to cut on it, and it does well. Not as good as this. And then these 2 are going to outclass both of these as far as that goes. But if you were so inclined, you could lay that edge back a little bit on both of these. But they do just fine. This one is better than that as far as that goes. Cutting wise, this is a better cutter. In fact, with game, I have not used this on game or meat. I'd imagine this would not do too bad of a job. This one I'm thinking would be more of a challenge, but not bad. I mean, it's not as bad as you would think. It's not. Maybe I'll have to cut up a potato. But tonight I'll cut up a potato with this, and I'll use this as a steak knife, and I'll just see. Though I'm not talking about cutting up cooked meat. I'm talking about cutting up an animal. If you happen to kill one, that's the knife you're going to use. So those are kind of 2 options you could have. 2 other options. As far as preferences or positives and negatives, we can just start with as far as carrying the knives themselves. This one actually carries fine. I did have to do a modification on the clip. Last winter, I put in just coins. Like I put a penny underneath that, then I put another penny, then I put a nickel with it, and then a quarter and a dime probably. I had that thing out to probably out into here. Finally, until it would relax a little bit, and it's not loose by any means. You can't see daylight in there, but now it goes in and out of your pocket great. Whereas before it was just impossible. This one though, obviously, perfect. Great, no problems whatsoever. So I have to say the clip thing, go with the Benchmade. This one I haven't done it, but you can tape off around. If I was going to do it on my knife, tape everything off around that, pop the clip off, and just sand the contact point. I might end up doing that myself on this. I have done that on this, and I did it on my last recon I had too. So you can't see it. It's just a little patch underneath where that clip rubs, and it saves your pants because that actually is a problem. As far as action goes, this one is better. It's a little bit more convenient. For me, I would say I would go with the axis lock, even over how quick, easy, and smooth this one is for a backlock. This one is still that much smoother and faster. It just is. I mean, it's a big knife, but as far as action goes and whatnot, I mean, you're not going to get any better than that. I don't think. I don't have anything that's better than that. And it's the axis, it's not even a liner lock, which I know people love frame liner locks. I personally don't have a problem with them, but it's not I mean, I would go with that axis design, or the Spyderco ball bearing lock, or their Will Moon's got a really cool knife, a Will Moon Banshee, that kind of a thing. So that style would be my preference. But then again, as far as backlocks go, I mean, this is the best I've ever seen. I can't even imagine how much better you can get. That thing is just a very smooth, very free dropper. Nice knife. So take your pick on that. Personally, I picked this. I choose this. As far as handle and grip goes, this one is perfect, I think. It's not really, you can choke up on it. You just got to be a little bit more careful. But this is not sharp here or sharp. It's pointy. But I've never had a problem with choking up on it. And plus, it allows you to get up and over that serrated part. And you can just use this tip out, this point, the belly out here, the plain edge. This does have a forward finger choil you can choke up on. And it is also very comfortable backing out of it and using it like this. And then also it gives you a little longer handle that you can chop a little bit better with this. And You know, so I would give that. I'd probably give overall ergonomics to the cold steel, honestly, or the options, the usability, just because it is longer handling. If you did have to chop, which I think I did do a little chopping with this, but then again, it was soft wood, nothing real time intensive. So and if you're doing that, you might develop a blister somewhere on your pinky or something. But then again, that's hearsay. That's hypothetical. Okay. So it's kind of a pick 'em on this one. I love both of these knives. I'd be happy with either one of them. If I had to choose, though, I would go with this all around, pretty much for everything. It's strong enough. I think, if they could do weight hanging tests, you could do spine whacking tests. I wouldn't want to sell this short, but I think in real life, if you're out there and you're manually beating on that one or beating on that one, man, it's going to be close. And I wouldn't want to do that myself personally. And like if you're in a survival situation, we'll just say like, if you're out and you have a rifle, that's what you have. Well, yes, you do want a durable rifle, but you're not going to be using it to hammer in a wedge on a tree. You're not going to be doing that. You're going to have to save that because you're not going back home unless you survive the situation. So you got to do everything you can to protect that rifle. Same goes with your tool. You got to make sure that you keep that thing safe too. Use it for what it's designed for, perhaps push it a little past, but you're not going to be destructive on it. So as far as durability goes and whatnot, it's a push as well. And I'm going to go with the Benchmade. But like I said before, and if you're more of a fan of this knife, then that's fine. I mean, I could go that route too, and I'd be plenty happy with this. But overall, in the end, for me personally, I would go with the Benchmade, the Adamas 275, and then scratch the serrated part and go with full plane, and that's where I would be. Both really good knives, and I think that's all I got. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I threw out some stats, so if you weren't too aware of these or seen them side by side, well, now you more or less have. Let's just line up the backs of these bad boys and maybe throw in a military, because I think that's more of a popular model and that is lined up for the most part. This is just going to have a longer handle than that. Probably pretty comparable to this. So definitely a true 4-inch blade. Pretty darn close. And then this is about 3.8. It's a little shorter. All right. Eye candy, in my opinion. And then, of course, you got this bad boy, too. Might as well throw that in for a little bit of scale. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy your Monday. Day off, hopefully.